Hello everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle, here to share with you more interesting, fun, and exciting Corvette content. Wanted to talk to you about our visit to Mid-America Motorworks Fun Fest 2023 last weekend. Steve and I flew up and surprised Mike and Michael Yeager with our presence. They had no idea we were coming, but we had talked to them at Carlisle. We've known them for years, and this was their 30th Fun Fest and the beginning of their 50th year in business. So we wanted to go up and just kind of make an appearance, talk to people, car owners, see a couple of the vendors, and of course talk with Mike and Michael about business and whatnot. But the weather was gorgeous, saw a lot of cool cars, and I'm gonna do some walk around video that I'll do a voiceover on, just pointing out some of the cool stuff that we saw. Did get a great interview with Ken Lingenfelter from lingenfelter.com. He had his daily driver C8 there with the new Lingenfelter package that they've introduced that gives you an extra 100 horsepower without turbocharging or supercharging or without cracking the computer. Unfortunately, the interview I did with him had a lot of background noise because there was a lot of music and wind and people, and we were using, my smartphone because I didn't bring my whole camera rig. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell you, if you're interested in what Lingenfelter is doing with C8s, they work on C7, C6s, they have a bunch of other stuff, but with the new C8 specifically, this is a really trick setup. I challenge you, I request that you go to lingenfelter.com and check it out. Ken was a really great dude, spent a lot of time with us, and unfortunately the audio quality isn't something that I want to put out because it's hard to hear us talking. So just know that that's something you should look at. Anyway, back to the show field. Let's take a walk around Mid-America Fun Fest 2023. All right, guys, let's take a walk around the show field at Mid-America Fun Fest 2023. This beautiful Grand Sport belonged to a gentleman named Steve. He was really friendly, got to talk to him quite a bit. Car's super, super nice. Bought it with 1,900 miles just a couple of years ago from the original owner. Gorgeous car, just lovely. Another beautiful Grand Sport there for sale if you're looking for one, evidently. All right, let's take a walk. I got some C7s. Hey, got a nice C4, pretty car being represented there. 95.6, and then an 84.5, another C7. My personal favorite, the C5 Z06 in silver. Let's see if we can tell what year that is. No, it's not an 03. It's a Grand Sport. There were some really nice Corvettes at this show, and most of them had come from within, say, 300 to 400 miles of the show. In Effingham, Illinois, but there were a couple of people who came there from like California and stuff that had driven their cars all the way there for this. And what you're looking at right now is just about 1/3, maybe even 25% of the show. As I pan to the right, you'll see that it kind of goes around the building. We'll get there in a minute. Really lovely 56, 57. I'll tell you what, I saw more pretty 67s at this show. That one was just a beast. That is a lovely car, the red with the white stinger. Some beautiful mid-years out on the road driving, being active. I don't think I've been to a show recently, at least in the last 10 years, that has many mid-years there that were actively being driven. That was cool to see. My Electron Blue Z06, 02. Looks like a bone stock 97. Commemorative 2004. Oh yeah, I see that Grand Sport. Kind of cloudy. Sorry, working on using the new camera rig here, so this is kind of experimental. Another beautiful mid-year. That Grand Sport right there is Supersonic Blue. It's a 2012, and that is similar to the one that we're putting together for Steve. And we'll do a video on that shortly because we've done a whole bunch of custom lighting and stuff on that car. And yeah, that Supersonic Blue is just gorgeous. He decided to go with the gray top instead of the blue one when we redid the top, but that'll be featured in an upcoming video. We heard this C7 running up and down the road all week, and I'll tell you what, man, I don't know what he's done to that thing. It's got a cool carbon fiber hood and it had beautiful exhaust. That thing sounded like an animal. I mean, you couldn't carry on a conversation when he was getting on it, and he was, a quarter mile away. And continuing through, Lots of C6 Grand Sports at this show. Another beautiful C4, 95.6. I saw a lot of C4s at this show too, so it was, look at the custom body on that one. Oh, man, you don't see that often. I like the color too. C5 wheels fit on it nicely. Indy pace car for a C7. As I was saying, I saw a lot more C4s and C2s being driven actively around town than I do most national level shows on this one. And I think part of that has to do with it being in the Midwest. I mean, we saw a caravan of street rods, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s cars on our way back to St. Louis after the show. So there's definitely a lot of old car people, not old people driving cars, but old car people out in that area. And man, there's some beautiful stuff out there. 96 Collector Edition convertible, beautiful car. Looked like a stick shift too. LT4, yep. Now, the car I'm walking to is one of my favorites. Let's see if I walked over to it. Yeah, so that is a 2017 Grand Sport in my favorite color, which is similar to the 96 Grand Sport. And this one is a Callaway, it's supercharged, and this thing was just so clean. Loved the red trim around the wheels and on the rocker moldings and the front splitter. Tinted windows. You'll see the Callaway supercharger sticking out of the hood here shortly. I mean, that car is just hot. That we actually selected that car as our celebrity choice, so they got a nice trophy out of the deal. Steve and I did, because that car was just, that was my favorite car of the show, no question. It's a pity I can't fit in it. Damn it. Another Z06, and you're looking back there, and now you can see the big main buildings for Mid-America back there. Spent a little bit of time in Mike Yeager's museum. He had some really cool, like, pre-production C5s, like beta test cars, bunch of Tommy Morrison's SCCA race cars. Oh, Daytona 500 pace car there. And, you know, a lot of cool displays. I mean, the guy's been collecting neat stuff for 50 years, and it shows. Kalahari top on the green C7, 50th anniversary coupe. Another Grand Sport with the flip-flop colors from my scheme. That's pretty nice too. Yeah, just lovely. Obviously, oh, you see that pink C7 back there? Man, that was even more pink in person. It looked like a Barbie car, and I'm sure that was the intent. There was not another one like it, I'll give it that. Going up here. A lot of C5s there had been engineered pretty hard. There were some definitely healthy C5s that weren't just daily drivers. This is their 1910 gas station that they had reconstructed out here years ago, and it's kind of the focal point. This 65 was really beautiful. It was for sale. Gentleman had a Marine Corps car for sale. This car was a 2014 launch edition in night race blue with the dark brown interior. That was gorgeous. A lot of POW, Grateful to the Military cars at the show. Heading towards the entrance to the museum at this point. And I'm parked outside one of my very favorite things in the world. It's a 1987 Corvette Challenge race car. This was a series of cars that were built specifically for a one model series back in '87, all identical Corvettes. And it was called the Corvette Challenge. And these cars were, for the time, really, really competent and competitive, especially when racing with each other. It's kind of like the Porsche Cup for people who had to work for a living, I guess. But I mean, this was Doug Rippey Racing running this car, and he was clearly someone who was very well known in the world of racing. Well, let's go in here and walk in through the front gate and go take a look inside the museum if we can. There's me. All right, heading into the museum, coming up on some neat stuff. So this was a alpha build. This is one of the very first C5 prototypes built, used for testing. It's extremely rough inside and out. I think I get a look inside the interior here. The seats are not what we consider Corvette seats. The dash had all kinds of different weird vents and bezels. It all looked hand-built. Look too, it's kind of neat. If you look at the, let me see, get behind the sign. We'll probably see it better on the next one. So this is a Beta 2. This is the second version of their test cars. On the first one, if you go back and look at the video, you'll see that there are humps over the taillights, which they deleted later on. Beautiful, really beautiful see-through operating big block engine there. This was the last C4 Corvette ever made in 1996. Came off the line June 21st and went to live directly at Mid-America Corvettes. To the right in that crate is a 90 to 95 ZR1. Oh, hey, Debbie. And there's Steve. See how cheerful and happy he looks. All right, and now we're going to get into some of Tommy Morrison's SCCA race cars, but I think this one's special. Yeah, that's what I thought. So this was the ZR1 that won the world endurance record, averaging 160 miles an hour in a 24-hour run. This car was very famous at the time it was done. You can see it's been stripped of side mirrors, and when you look at the back, I'm sure we'll get a look at that. I hope I did. They repurposed a bunch of stuff on the car for cooling and whatnot. It was cool. Some more of Morrison's cars, SCCA, well-known nationally. They were featured in mobile ads throughout the entire year, throughout the series. You can see one of those ads down there by the front wheel. There's a TPI motor out of an 85 to 91 Corvette. Endurance Racing, SCCA, famous car. As you can tell, Tommy Morrison and Mobile had a bunch of these different race cars. Super cool. Now this is a neat car. This is called the Serve 4B, and what this was proof of concept, but what it was, it looked like a C4, but it was actually under the skin a C5. So this was where they were testing the drivetrain and all the other things that were going to go into making the C5 what it was, but they didn't want to have to drive around with it fully camouflaged. They didn't have the body or anything done. You can see kind of looks like a weird one-off interior, but that was the first secret C5 guts in that car. This blue 89 had been completely destroyed at one point. I'm going to take a look at those pictures. They fully restored this car at Mid-America, and this car was completely crushed. This is what was left of that car. If you look at these pictures, literally almost nothing left, absolutely destroyed. And they brought this car back to exactly what you see in front of you, which, man, I can tell you from experience, that's no small feat. And heading out the door, bunch of cool merchandise. I mean, all kinds of neat stuff in this building. I mean, just as you can tell, 50 years worth of collecting neat stuff. You know, t-shirts and hats and coffee mugs and decals, all kinds of fun stuff. Antique bicycles hanging from the rafters up there. A lot of people buying up things, which is good for Mid-America. As we go, let's see if I see anybody I know. All right, now we're going into the back. Now, you got to check out the back wall to the right as I'm walking through here. That is an old bar, and it's got that beautiful wood wall in the back, and then the bar is up front. I would dearly love to have that one day. That is just awesome. Have that in like a barn dominium. Here we are walking out to the install garage, and back to where we started. If you see that white car there behind the tank, that Grand Sport, that's where we started our walk. Coming up onto the install and restyling center, where they were doing some, I believe, exhaust at this time. That is a super nice, clean installation bay they've got there. Sure wish mine was that nice. So in a nutshell, guys, that was our visit to Mid-America Fun Fest 2023. I hope you enjoyed walking around the show field with me. I look forward to sharing more cool cars and more cool things to do with you in the near future. Talk to you soon.